Not all of us take a chance on ourselves and our ideas, and I want you to do that. Which is why I want to tell you about our amazing sponsor at Fresh Start Ventures.
Fresh Start Ventures is a VC connector that started off as a blog, which now provides you everything you need for your startup, whether that be financial assistance, strategic help, or any other sort of mentorship that you require to get your idea to the next level.
Fresh Start Ventures is also aligned with the Pakistan e-commerce consortium, meaning they are the perfect people to go to in order to understand the vastly changing world that we live in when it comes to technology and e-commerce rapidly evolving every day.
Fresh Start Ventures have helped a bunch of startups get from their ideation stage all the way to the top, where they've consolidated themselves as top-notch businesses who have won laurels and awards in the industry.
If you truly believe in your idea and the only thing missing is support and some kind of financial backing in the long run, Fresh Start Ventures is your place to go, so please don't hesitate in reaching out to them today.
Visit www.freshstart.pk or the link in our bio.
And give your idea a fresh start. Let's get on with the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pakistan's #1 football show, Pressing Matters, brought to you by On The Mic. As you might have known recent बहुत बड़ी news आई है Pakistani football में. For the first time that a franchise league is going to take place called the Pakistan Football League, organized by Global Soccer Ventures. And I have the pleasure of having on the show none other than the CEO of Global Soccer Ventures, GSV, Zabe Khan. Thank you for coming on the mic. It is an absolute pleasure. How are you doing, sir?
Great to be on board. I've been seeing you guys for some time, and it's great to actually get a chance to meet you guys now.
No, it's our pleasure. I mean, ever since the news came out, and I think you guys kept it pretty hush-hush at the start, and in just one instant you let it rip on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere. And so it was a big surprise. It took a while for everyone to, to sort of digest it and take it in. But now everyone's really excited. And I'm pretty sure Pakistani football fans have a lot of questions. And hopefully they want to see it work out like you do, like I do, like everyone does. So I just want to start off right away, sort of a personal question for you. What is the main attraction or reason for wanting to conduct a franchise league in Pakistan?
Look, I've been working in domestic football for now nearly, I think, 12 to 14 years. I was the head of K Electric for 6 years. I worked in leisure leagues. I've been through the domestic setup. I've done everything domestically, right? And we also bought international players here, Ronaldinho, blah, blah, blah. So the thing is, we saw that, the Pakistan Premier League, unfortunately, we did win it in 2014-15, but there's no way people are being developed there, right? I was the first person that actually brought Nigerian players to the PPL. And that actually was, it created some kind of, this rival in market. I did something like this in 2010, the Geo Super League, which was powered by K Electric. We saw at that time that, people are more interested in cities, like it's done in the whole world, right? So I remember the final was K Electric, I think it was against Quetta, right? I think Quetta Peshawar. And the ground was full. People's stadium was full. But you know what the drawback was? The drawback was because there was cricket on the same day, our match live telecast was delayed. So, football is the biggest sport in the world.
Yeah, not in Pakistan though.
Not in Pakistan. But then we started to realize that there is this hunger for football. And, I'll see what the real change was. The real change came because you knew that people in Liari, Mali, Chitral, Hangu, all of these people played football. Yeah. But your A sector, your young kid who's studying in grammar, beginners, blah, blah, they were never into football. What changed it? ESPN Star Sports. Cable TV came in, and all of a sudden, there was this, and you can't call it a fad.
I'm a product of that. And you're exactly right. I'm a product of that whole thing, that culture change.
So people might have thought it was a fad. It wasn't a fad. It actually changed things, right? So, but what happened was, because the domestic setup was not on that level, I remember I was doing this presentation with Coke. They had asked me to come on board and do some presentations and talk to football about them. I asked them who was the winners of the Pakistan Premier League. Nobody knew. So there's this big disconnect, right? Now, secondly, why franchise, right? Why
Yeah.
city-wise? If you talk about cricket, even cricket, right? There was a Pakistan West Indies 3 matches in Karachi.
Yeah.
You're getting tickets for free,
Yeah.
right? Stadiums were not full. But when you talk about a PSL match, the tickets are gone, I think, within a day or two. So the rivalry the city creates, even your national team has not been able to do that.
Yeah. 100%.
So it's not just about football. It has to be a whole package. And that's what we're bringing. Now, for example, I'll let you know that what we've done is that I've already personally spoken to CEOs of English Premier League teams.
Right.
Who want to work with us. Now, people might
Okay.
say, like, why do they want to work with us, right? Now, the point is here that the English Premier League, what's happened with football teams, because of COVID, they've lost out badly, right? They are all looking for different avenues to globalize themselves. Secondly, see, Pakistan is a sleeping giant, 220 million people, right? Then what they do, a lot of the clubs we are talking to, they have a lot of Pakistanis, myself coming from London. You look at your West Ham, your Burnley, your Leicester City, all of these people have lots of Pakistanis. So one problem these Premier League clubs have had is connecting to those people. So they feel this is a great way for them to connect with them. And on top of that, they see that it's a way in which they can give us their technical expertise to the franchise.
Of course.
And obviously benefiting football in a whole.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly valid, and especially your point about cities, because when I started covering Pakistani football, one of the things that obviously I realized was that there's no association for our players, for the person who goes to lower grammar school or someone there. There are pockets of communities who have association to their players and their clubs, but apart from that, on a national level, there's nothing. For Karachi, I mean, one of the biggest cities in the world, and then Lahore, and then all these places don't have a football team that they can connect to. And you're right, that needs to be in the package. But one thing that obviously, you've maybe gotten this question many times, is that people think that a franchise league model cannot work in football because of several issues, footballing issues related to promotion, relegation, most importantly, grassroots development. What is your response to that?
First of all, my question to you is, what do you mean that football won't work?
Right. It means, so football won't work means that the way that we want football to be developed in Pakistan in a sustainable way, so that, let's say 10, 15 years down the line, we're at a much better place, not only in terms of our national team, but also in terms domestically, where we're turning our players, where we're having regular action, and our teams are competing at a level that maybe our players can. I'm not saying they're going to go to the Premier League. That's a whole different world. But they're going to places like, I don't know, Cyprus or Eastern Europe, or leagues like that, leagues that are respectable, and not just playing within themselves here. I think that's what people broadly mean.
My question is very easy to that. Is that happening in the structure right now?
No, definitely not.
Right. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that if we look at the structure right now, it's the Pakistan Premier League and the National Challenge Cup. Right, I lost the National Challenge Cup. I have a record losing in the final 4 times in a row. Right,
and I'm betting a lot of that was to KRL because they're record champions.
2 KRLs, one National Bank, one Air Force. Right, it's an envious record. But what I'm saying is right now that we need to understand where we are right now. Right now, we are nowhere. Right, in 70 years, we haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah,
I was having a discussion with the players today, and they're all saying, sir, that over the last 70 years, what have we done? I mean, if you look at let's look at it this way, right? And I'll give you an answer to your question. Who are the real stakeholders of football? This is the real question which people need to understand. It's not the people who say that we can change football. It's the players, the referees. These are the actual stakeholders of football who, from whatever been going around, what happens is these people lose out.
100%. I'm with you.
Everyone can put in their mind that these are the real stakeholders of football, that's when we're going to develop football.
Yeah.
Right. Now, let's come to the franchise league. You're saying, how can it develop football, right? Now, first of all, what's happening, we're going to be bringing international players here, right? We have a whole system in which what we're going to do is we have what you call the emerging player. They'll be doing trials in the cities. Every city will have what is called a TSG group, which is called the technical study group. They evaluate players. And what we're going to do, we'll be having one marquee player or one coach, international coach, to head that TSG group, right? So we'll have trials. Players will come, will be selected. We'll select 14 players from that, out of which those 14 players will attend the camp, but 7 will be selected. Now, those players will get $3,000 for one season, which is about 4 to 5 weeks.
Sorry to cut you off. You mean 7 for each team or 7 in total?
Each franchise.
Okay.
Right. Now, that player will get $3,000, right? That player hasn't seen $300,000. He hasn't seen $300 in his career.
Yeah.
Right. So all of a sudden we're changing things. Now, another thing that people need to understand when you say grassroots, right? Where do these players actually come from? They come from the clubs.
Yeah.
Right. There are 600 clubs in Karachi, right? There are supposed to be 2,200 clubs throughout Pakistan, right? Every player is linked to a club.
Yes.
So what we have said is when that player moves forward in his career, he will always be connected to that club through our online system. And whenever he moves forward, we will have a whole transfer mechanism system. The club will get 10% of any proceeds which goes to the player. So what happens is that we are slowly changing the ecosystem of the club as well. Because I know clubs here, they don't have any money. They don't get anything.
Yeah.
So as the player grows up, I mean, just say after 2 years, he's worth $50,000. 10% is going to the club.
Yeah.
So that's how you slowly change things. Then we have departmental players. They will get $7,000. They don't get that much in a year.
Yeah.
Your national team players will get $10,000. They don't get that much in a year, right? Then we have your international players. There are 4 international players. 3 are international players who would be maybe from your under 21 Brazil, your Nigerian players like abroad. If you see in the ISL from Eastern Europe, then you have 1 marquee player who would be something like Guti, David James, William Gallas, who could actually also be a coach, come player, right?
Yeah. A veteran of the game.
What you have to do is you're giving all these players exposure. And when you play with people better than you, automatically what's going to happen? You're going to develop. And these emerging players, these are going to be the players which need to develop. And the plan has to be that the coach who's coming aboard, he shouldn't be here for more than 2-3 years, because the coaching staff underneath him is going to be Pakistani. So he's going to be developing them at the same time. And one time what will happen is your up-and-coming coaches, they're going to be the head coaches of the team. And on top of, we'll ask the franchises to also develop youth teams as well, right? Now, if you look at youth football, after 15, it's gone, man. It's not there. About the age of 5 or 6 years old, if you look at the FIFA mechanism, there are 4 different stages, right? I think 6 to 9, 9 to 12, 12 to 15, right? So we need to see how we can start developing those as well, right? And then when we have your Premier League partnership, they're then giving their input. They could send their coaches. They'll be doing online courses. Now, what we say is, right, we're also bringing in something called InStep. I don't know if you know what InStep is.
Yeah, I was just told. So now I know.
So basically, that's a system which every player in the world is on, right?
Yeah.
So Asadullah or Saddam, they're online throughout the world as to whatever their stats are. So this is bringing your Pakistani player to the global system. Now, what we would like to see that one day some of these players play abroad. Now, you can't say, let's be realistic, they're not going to play the Pakistan English Premier League, right?
Yeah.
No. We're talking about, say, somewhere in Europe, right? Somewhere in Europe where they could, it could be a sister club of Manchester City, because they have 4 or 5 different clubs around the world, right?
It could be one of the Red Bull clubs in Salzburg, yeah?
Absolutely. And if you look at Manchester City, what did Manchester City do? Manchester City, I think it was Mumbai FC, they bought a 65% stake in them.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that we need to, first of all, fix our own house, right? Let's get things done here, right? Let's create proper teams. Let's get people involved. Let's start giving back to the players. The players are always given you. What have they got back? Nothing. They lose their job. I mean, if you look at people in departments, when the football is finished, you know what they look? What they turn into? They turn into clerks.
Yeah.
And that's
so your club, your ex-club is a classic example of that. K Electric shut down.
Absolutely.
And they said, "Ke aap aake lineman ban jaye, you can do this sort of thing, or we can let you go." I mean, this is what an athlete is given back in Pakistan.
Absolutely. I mean, a prime example is what happened to K Electric.
Yeah.
That the poor guys who are the ones who were educated, they're a globe. And unfortunately, in football, majority of people are not educated.
And it's I think that's the way around the world. I mean, football is a working class sport, and the reason why you see these pockets in Pakistan where football is so heavily where people are so passionate about it. I think it's because the working class culture and football go really well together, and that's the case in Pakistan as well. So we really need to bring those people up, like you've said. And 100% agreed when you. First of all, I think it's great that you're giving 10% to the parent club, because that will give a boost to the community in a way that they've not seen. And it also provides an incentive for them to develop more players so that they get more 10% back. But one thing that that I was thinking about was, obviously if they keep getting money, that's great. But Pakistan, there's a shortfall of coaches as well. There's a coaching crisis in the country because, and it's no one's fault. It's because there has been no structure, there has been no sustained activity. So you haven't gotten the good minds into the game enough for there to be enough coaches in the game. So even if you have those clubs getting a lot of money back, do you think it will be hindrance to the development of players in the long run if the coaching element isn't addressed properly in the grassroots?
We are going to address the coaching element. We have spoken to this organization in the UK who does coaching courses, right?
Okay.
Now they will be upgrading our coaches, but right now it's going to be online because of the COVID issue.
Yeah,
right?
Of course.
Nobody's going to come back and forth. But what we will do, we will be working to keep these people online education to bring them up to a certain level.
Okay,
because
I understand.
Obviously, if you don't coach, the teams are never going to develop.
Yeah. And we need to have more people because a lot of the time, a lot of people want to come into football. A lot of great minds in Pakistan are passionate about it. They want to come in it. But the only reason they don't is because it's not cricket and no one is going to provide the necessary financial incentive or the necessary financial, it doesn't make financial sense for them to come in. So I think that's one of the main barriers that also needs to be addressed, which you are quite clearly. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was with regards to how this is going to play out in the long run with regards to the infrastructure and everything else that you're going to be with them. Obviously, these are the structure that you have created. A lot of it is also predicated on what is already existing in Pakistan and helping that and boosting that. But obviously, you would need more than what is here in current terms, in terms of stadiums and everything else, to get it up to the level that you require. So is there a plan for that as well?
Basically, because I've worked all over Pakistan in football, right? We don't have one proper stadium.
Yeah.
I
was actually at Multan. I came back on Monday I was gone for the PPL, and I can testify that there's
and
nothing.
I played all over Pakistan.
Yeah.
With the Pakistan, I played all over Pakistan, right? National Challenge Cup, all over Pakistan. We don't have one proper stadium, right? They had Pakistan Stadium, but unfortunately, the problem is that their lights, they're not good enough for a broadcast, right? So the point is that we need to build infrastructure. For that, we basically are building a stadium.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we understood that if we want to do something on that level, if we don't build a stadium, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So what we did is we are building a stadium. It's 6,000 to 8,000 people capacity. We have not released the venue. We will soon. But obviously, if we don't build a stadium, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And are there any other plans to sort of develop centers or any other sort of facilities within those cities to help those clubs that are going to be the franchise?
Basically, what we have in our discussions with different franchises, they've also given us, they've asked us, can they build their own stadiums in the cities?
Okay.
But the point is, what we've said is, let us make the first one ourselves. Because, we're not talking about a stadium just to put up a few seats, right? Yeah. We're talking about a proper football stadium, which has your VIP, which has all different sections, which it's like a mini, I'm an Arsenal fan, right?
My condolences. That's all I'm going to say.
We won yesterday 6-0, even though it was only West Brom, but hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, but I understand. Yeah, I understand. Just coming back to one of the things that you said about coaching, because so two things. I 100% agree with you that it's all about the players. And personally, I'll be honest with you. I always was, I mean, my stance has been that I've never seen maybe many examples of franchise leagues working, and I've been pretty honest about that. I even said it in the video. But at the same time, the caveat is there that I, like other people, like football fans, want what's best for Pakistani football, and B, if GSV are able to deliver on the amazing plan you have, then hopefully that will lead to football getting better, and that's what we want, what you want, what everyone wants. So it's not like an ideological position that anyone should have, or I have, that okay, this is a franchise league, that means no, I'm not going to support it. It's always about the outcome. It's always about what's going to help the players. And the other thing is obviously the coaches. So you said that there's going to be a company that's going to conduct those online sessions and everything. I mean, this is obviously logistical and technical, but as someone who's also passionate about this, is that going to be open for applications for people who want to join or come into this field, or is it going to be specific for people who are already in the football industry and who want to get into the PFL? So can you work that out for us?
Well, the start of it has to be with existing coaches, right?
Okay.
But then obviously we will see how things move forward, and then we can also see that we can also expand it to other people who want to do it, because we were having that discussion about franchise and the league and everything, right? When I took over the K Electric football team in 2010, we were like 8th or 10th in the league.
Right.
So it was all about coming up with a proper plan to change things. Nobody believed or could even dream that I would win the league in 6 years, right? It took 6 years to do it.
Yeah.
I came second twice, then I came fourth. But if you have the right plan in place, you have the right people there, and you have the passion to make it happen, nothing is going to stop us.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about the coaches that already have licenses? So I mean, almost all coaches here technically have licenses, but are you going to ask them to upgrade their licenses? Are you going to ask some people who are, let's suppose, C license to get a B license? So is there a criteria that you're establishing there?
We will be establishing our criteria, but we've already spoken to the team in UK. They will then cover the criteria as to if you've done a C, how to upgrade you to a B. If you're B, can you be upgraded to an A? We'll use all of that criteria. And obviously, first we want to upgrade the coaches who are existing. And then after that, we'll see about expanding it to other coaches. Because, if you don't have a good coach, I mean, you look at international teams. You've seen international teams that how things turn around when you bring in the right coach.
Yeah. And honestly, I've noticed, I'm actually personally connected to a few coaches in Pakistan, and I've also talked to I was in pretty good contact with the ex-technical director Daniel Limones, and the one thing that everyone's told me, and I think they're right, is that Pakistan has a lot of players in terms who are on par with everyone else in terms of their physical capability and potentially their technical capability. The only way they sort of lag behind is the coaching element of how to play in a unit, how to have those sort of things that football has now achieved over time, over decades of now reaching a pinnacle of the sport that you have. So much goes into coaching now, and Pakistan has lost out on that. So I think that's where we need to bridge the gap here as well. And I agree with you completely. And this also brings me to my point about there was an announcement about 6 European clubs who will be affiliated with each city franchise. Obviously, it's too early to name names, but what will their role be exactly, and how do you think they can help Pakistani football in the long run?
But basically, first of all, it's giving technical expertise to the franchise, right? We had Premier League clubs actually saying we could send our coaches over to you, right? Then we're talking about, football is a science, right? And I would say the father of that science was Arsene Wenger.
Yeah,
when he came from Japan,
I don't disagree.
When he came from Japan, he brought in a whole new regime, right? Diet and all of these things, right? These are things
the training ground was a whole new concept brought in by Arsene Wenger. They didn't have specific training grounds before that.
He came from Japan.
Yeah.
People thought, I think the headlines were Arsene who, right? And then a year later, he won the double.
Yeah.
Okay. And even his transfers were unbelievable. Anelka, Henry, Vieira, all these
I'm a big
people.
fan. I'm a big fan. You don't need to convince me about Arsene Wenger, although I'm not too fancy about Arsenal these days.
But the point is that if you don't understand that it's not just about being good technically, right? You have to have the right diet. You have to have the right psychology. So there are so many other things which are about football, right? And that's where we see that these clubs can then, if you like a train the trainer kind of thing, they can then train our franchises and explain to them, guys, it's not just about, unfortunately, what happens is when there's a coach here, what he'll do, he'll ask the players, please chakkar maar ke aao, round.
Yeah, I've been part of that process, unfortunately.
That is, doesn't work, man.
Yeah.
And a coach, right, he has his own specific role. But when you talk about a proper physio, he has his own specific role. If you are doing 30 rounds a day, and if you're doing that before the tournament, you're going to be dead. So you bring it up, you bring it down, right? What are you supposed to be eating? When are you supposed to be eating? Your cool down. There are so many technical aspects to football, people cannot even imagine it, right?
Yeah, 100%.
But this is professionalism we need to bring in, And this is one of the reasons why we want to bring these Premier League teams in, to give these skills to all of our players, to our coaches, even our referees, right? They need to be upgraded.
Yeah.
So, there's a dearth of information which we will bring in from them to upgrade these teams. And without that, obviously, it's just going to be another Pakistan Premier League.
Yeah. Because I think I actually work with Karachi United in a capacity. I'm an analyst for them. So I've seen the work that they've done. I think that's one of the clubs that actually gives a lot of value to what you're saying about having these marginal gains in psychology. So they have a psychologist for the players. They have a proper chef for their diet. They have proper cool downs, proper everything, exactly the way you said it. And I think that's one of the reasons why even though they couldn't compete with the departments financially, they've been able to reach now a level where they are. And I hope that everyone else, every other player, every other coach in the country also does the same. And then we collectively rise together. And I think that's what you want as well, so that we see everyone going up.
I'll interrupt you on this, right? I'll interrupt you on this. Basically, what it is that when there is a football camp, right, ask any coach what they do in the football camp.
I don't want to say. I know what happens. I don't want to say.
Right. Now, what I'm saying is that I did a football camp, right? And what I did was I booked steel mill, right? I had all the best rooms. I had the football stadium. I had the swimming pool. I had the gym. For 2 weeks, all they did was eat and sleep football. Okay. Yeah. So what was that? Their diet was there. They had the right number of water. They had too much water, right? Because water you need to be drinking all the time. So creating this whole football environment. What happens with us? Majority of clubs that they do, players will go, have a camp and come back home. What are they doing? What are they eating when you come? We have no idea. And on top of that, when you talk about diet, I'll tell you an unfortunate example, right? The Pakistan, it was under 16 or 18, I'm sure, it went to Iran. Okay. When it went to Iran, they actually beat India in the final. It was a festival tournament, right? So I got one of the guys, he came back and I put him on radio. It was Dawn, I think, FM 89 or something. And I asked him about his diet, and he couldn't afford to drink milk. So this is where we are, right? You ask players. I was with Aziz today. I don't know who Abdul Aziz is. He's the ex-vice captain of the Pakistan national team, right? He scored a goal against India in the SAF Cup, for which Musharraf gave him an award. He was telling me today, what is his salary? 20,000 rupees a month. How is he going to survive?
Yeah, I'm with you. And I think one of the key proponents key aspects of your plan is player welfare, which I think is absolutely crucial. And I think it is what everyone wants, whether they're a fan of a franchise league or not. They want player welfare if you're true to the sport and if you're true to Pakistani football. I just want to move on to a slightly different tangent right now. We've discussed the structure or the potential plan that you have in place, and I'm really excited to see how it plays out, and I wish you the best of luck for it. But obviously there's the issue of FIFA and AFC accreditation and the concept of playing in the AFC Cup or in the AFC Champions League one day, because that's when you get to compete with the best of the best. So is there a plan related to that? Have you thought about that aspect of this whole thing?
I think this is an excellent question, right? I'm one of the few people who actually has gone to those AFC tournaments.
I think Clay Electric is the only club that's played in the last, I don't know how long.
2000, yeah, the last
the only club that I've sort of found that played that.
In Bhutan, we went there and we drew with Bhutan 3-0 and we beat Mongolia 1-0. Then the team went on to Beijing. I had left Caleb, I had shifted back to London that time. So I think things needs to be clear. The point is that FIFA AFC will get involved in a domestic tournament if the winner is going to play in the pre-AFC qualifiers.
Yeah.
Now, they send $10,000 for our tickets and they take care of expenses over there. Now, during that time, I went to an AFC, it was the AFC licensing meeting, right? So I had a whole Excel, this whole PowerPoint I had to fill in, so that if it was going to be home and away, if they would come to Pakistan, what would we do? Now, unfortunately, no club, the closest club which came to beating any of the criteria was K Electric, because we had an organization structure, we were doing youth development in Liari. No other club in Pakistan meets AFC criteria now.
No license.
Even if FIFA was back on board, the Pakistan Premier League champion will not play in the pre-AFC qualifiers. Okay. Secondly, I had done this intercity tournament in 2010 with Geo Super powered by K Electric. There was no approvals required from FIFA AFC. So when it comes to a domestic tournament, it has nothing to do with AFC whatsoever. What I would have liked that in the previous 10 years, what I had pushed for, that it should have been 2 slots for Pakistan. Now, if you go around the World, the Cup winners, they get a slot, and the Premier League winners get a slot. So I had pitched that at least the National Challenge Cup winner, right, they should also get a slot in the AFC. So if KRL won both tournaments, then I would have got a slot in the AFC, right?
Yeah.
But that obviously, I mean, what you're saying in the last 70 years, you can see nothing's happened in football in Pakistan, unfortunately, right? So when it comes to FIFA AFC right now, it has nothing to do with us. Even if you look at the cricket structure, BCCI spoke to ICC about stopping the tournament in Kashmir. And ICC also came back and said nothing. So right now, our domestic tournament has nothing whatsoever to do with FIFA AFC, because nor are we asking for any funding, and nor are we looking at any slot in AFC right now. We look maybe that the winning team could then go and play matches with a youth team or some other team who run the English Premier League partners.
Okay, so that's the route. Because I'm obviously it's a very sad case that none of our champions, whether that's the PPL champion or the Challenge Cup champion, is able to go on any AFC tournament, let alone any FIFA club tournament. But I was just wondering if you feel that in the long run, there might be a window for the champion of, say, the PFL to go on and do that, or if that's something that you have in mind.
We would not want to touch the Pakistan Premier League structure, right?
Yeah.
That should happen as it is. Now, what I'm saying is that when inshallah, when things get back to normal with the FIFA PFF, then we would like them to push that the winner of the PFL is like the cup competition. Right? I see. They get a slot in the AFC, pre-AFCs, and the Premier League. This is actually, this is something which the Pakistan Football Federation for the last 40, 50, 60 years, this is something they should have done, right? And they should have done a lot of things, to be honest. I had been lobbying for it for many years, but unfortunately, if you want to do something right, you really need to have the passion to do it. If you treat football as a job, it's never going to work. No chance. If you treat it as a passion, only is it going to work. I'll give you another example. Players, it's not just about being a good coach technically. I feel as a coach, as a manager, it's more about man management skills. Right? Now, if I want that player to play his heart out on the ground, I have to win his heart. Right? If I win his heart, he's going to go there and he's going to give his 100%. Even if he doesn't win, what I would say to my players, if I see you play and you've given you 100%, I don't mind losing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you're not giving you 100%, then there's a problem. Maybe it's not you, maybe it's me, maybe it's my coach, maybe there's something wrong. But if that person is not putting his 100% heart into it, then there's something wrong. And you've seen that throughout the world globally. You've seen big coaches come, and like Mourinho, when he was at Manchester United, I actually think he didn't do a really bad job over there, right? But he had issues with players. Okay. So a new coach comes inside, and all of a sudden people stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's a lot of, I mean, if you look at Pep Guardiola, right, there must be something about the guy which he's doing. I mean, everybody are good coaches, right?
Yeah.
There are good coaches everywhere. I mean, for me, if you look at one coach who I would call passion, Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm with you.
I mean, I'm not a Liverpool fan at all, right? But
everyone's a Klopp fan. No one hates Klopp.
Klopp, I mean, I still remember his first interview, they spoke to him, and somebody said that, Mourinho said that he's the special one. So Klopp said, "No, I'm the normal one."
Yeah.
And you can see that you can see the relationship with his players. It's pure passion.
Yeah, and with the fans, because I'm slightly going on a tangent, because Liverpool is a club that feeds off of that sort of relationship with the players and the manager, and he's the perfect guy for that. So yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. One other thing, you have obviously mentioned that you hope that once PFF and FIFA and everything else resolved, they sort of pitch PFL as the cup competition. Do you think that's how it's going to play out, or do you think that the current political situation might negatively impact your plans with PFL moving forward?
Basically, right now, because whatever the issues with the PFF FIFA, that's their own thing. It has nothing to do with us whatsoever. So our league will continue.
Okay, I understand. So this has had nothing to do with PFF in any shape or form. This is totally separate, a domestic competition that you have, like the Geo Super League.
PFF are our partner on this. They are the technical partner of the league, right? We have signed a contract with the Pakistan Football Federation, right? Now, obviously, they will be providing the technical experience, and we will be doing the rest as to how to
commercialization, everything else.
Financially, all of these things are going to be managed by us, because obviously nothing can be done in a silo, right? We need that backing, and right now the people who own football in Pakistan through the Supreme Court order is the Ishfaq Shah Group.
Yeah.
So that's why we have signed a contract with the Pakistan Federation right now.
Okay, I see. And you feel like whatever the situation comes regarding the normalization committee or anything related to the Ishfaq Group won't have an impact on PFL, because that's totally separate.
Oh,
I understand.
Not at all.
Oh, and what about PPL? Do you think, obviously you have a plan for how long the tournament is going to go? The franchise league is going to go, I think it's around 5-6 weeks, if I'm not wrong. And the remaining time you'll have camps or you'll have your activities ongoing. Do you think this is going to basically the question is that, is it going to flow smoothly with PPL? Is it going to be something that we see like, for example, in India, where the ISL is ongoing with the I-League also happening in the background?
No. There'll be both in two different calendar dates.
Okay, I understand.
We would like to see that maybe Pakistan Premier League can maybe work as a feeder to the franchise teams.
I understand. So it's actually in your interest that the PPL is also ongoing on a regular basis, so that the PFL quality continues as well. Just lastly, sorry, go on.
Not only that, I'm just saying that we want football in Pakistan, right? So why would we want one tournament not to happen? Let's get more football in Pakistan.
With you.
That's how things will develop.
Yeah, 100%. This is unfortunately one country with 220 million people where we saw 3 years of no football league, where we saw careers being wasted, where we saw entire generations of players just sort of edging away and disappearing. Just lastly, Zabe, I thank you so much for your time. Where do you see PFL I know this is an interview question. I don't want to be that guy, but where do you see PFL in 3 years?
3 years, we would increase the number of teams, right? And hopefully more stadiums. And it's gonna turn into a massive marketable product with money coming in. And with money coming in, there's going to be development, and the whole football family I see is gonna benefit from all this. If they're not benefiting from it, we're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I think that's a great note to end it on. I sincerely hope And I think every person who's true to Pakistani football hopes that whatever is best for the development of football in this country happens. And according to your plan, if it goes ahead, I think this could be that. I wish you the best of luck. I hope that whatever plans you have in place actually come to fruition. I will be here covering it along the way. I hope you come back on the show sometime in the future to talk about how well it's going, or other developments that you may have. The door is always open. It has been an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Zabe Khan, CEO of Global Soccer Ventures, who are going to organize and hold Pakistan's first and only football franchise league called the Pakistan Football League. This has been Pressing Matters. Until next time, take it easy.